all the most important bionutrients, whether mineral, a vitamin, or choline or something like that, that's essential. I mean, that's non essential but used everywhere, has a special form of dedicated transport priority. And recently, because these important biochemicals all look the same in terms of their transport, I decided to invert that, to use it as a heuristic. Um, basically, look for this in if there was anything that has not been researched very much, but that had, for instance, dedicated intestinal transporters and things. What this does is it guarantees that what the thing you're finding has some major evolutionary role. And I found something that is essentially unknown. It's not in biology textbooks. It's not known by most biology PhDs I've talked to. That has enormous amounts of potential. It's a thing called Queuine. It's evolved in the production of all major of essentially all major monoamines. Norepinephrine, dopamine, serotonin, melatonin, through its role in BH4, BH2 recycling. So obviously, because of helps in that, it has a lot of roles for mental health as well. But I mean, here's the really fascinating thing. It's only been studied once before, only one trial of administering it to anything, and this study in mice, they found 100% remission and healing of MS plaques, of MS lesions in like 50 different mice. So this basically cures MS in a mouse model of it, or at least causes complete remission. No matter whether or not that will go over to humans, which is, it's hard to tell, but it's more likely to go over to humans than some over-engineered to mice biology pharmaceutical thing. It's still an indication about how dense the possibility space is, as long as that's not a fraudulent result, which I have good reasons to believe it is not, since I found it based on a very important heuristic for assessing potential. As long as it doesn't have fraudulent results, this is not going to be the only clinical level effect that's found for it. But what else does it do? Well, it's universally suppressed or absent in cancer cells. It's one of the few things that's known about it. It's found in all other cells in the human body, and basically all living. The majority of living organisms produce a yeast and stuff doesn't, but it's they're going to find some kind of mitochondrial role for me. I can tell just from Margulis's evolutionary branching, because the reason PQQ is mitophagic is because it increases bacterial populations, and since our mitochondria have bacterial roots, I actually have a slightly different theory than Margulis's, but since they have bacterial characteristics in DNA, if there is a really important micronutrient that's left over from bacteria, then likely the reason we're still using it is partly its role in mitochondria. So yeah, I'm super fascinated in what it does, and I think it actually might help with controlled mitophagy. I think it might be mitoprotective in some cases, but in the right conditions cause mitophagy, which would be really interesting because we have so many ways of doing mitogenesis. But obviously that increases cancer risk, and it's not is not that meaningful without also having good quality control for the mitochondria. What else about it? Oh, it has. I'm quite sure it has hidden mood effects that aren't well known, and like, um, the only other person I know who's become independently interested in this, he's actually been using this, and he says it has effects on mood and creativity akin to microdosing psychedelics, and that it's actually potentiating that. I don't know what the mechanism is, but it's super fascinating because this is a natural part of our biochemistry. So why would it feel like a small dose of psychedelics? I don't know. I doubt it's psychedelic in large quantities, but it's really fascinating because of how deep people say the effects of microdosing as compared to other nootropics. And I'm absolutely sure it's a so we get this thing from our microbiome. I'm absolutely certain it's a mediator of a lot of the most important microbiome mood interactions, and that will be found to be one of the main sources of these connections in the next 10 years, I think.